Okay, I'll lead the way, and you talk whenever, and yeah.
Alright. Hello everyone. So today we've got an idea. So basically, we're trying to um, propose the idea of bringing out the vanilla old school servers. That date that they brought out for the old school servers was August 10th, 2007. So we're trying to bring that back. It shouldn't be difficult for whoever's behind the team that released the servers. It shouldn't be that difficult for the person or persons to release that save file that they have. I'm sure they backed it up for emergency purposes. So what we're thinking is just releasing that back into the game to have it as a separate server, perhaps filling up the world since world 200 to 300 isn't being used. We use that and we can have an alternative server. We have a lot of points in this video that we're going to discuss on why we want it, and I know there's a community of people that want it back as well. But yeah, here I'll pass the mic off to you to explain more of what our first point of what we're trying to accomplish here in this new server.
Okay, yeah. So basically, RuneScape has really changed. We're seeing, these different game modes. There's Hardcore Iron Man, there's Ultimate Iron Man, there's Iron Man. All these different account builds, and then of course you have, a regular account. And then, for example, we now have Deadman mode. We have tournament worlds, which appear from time to time. Less than Deadman mode, but still just the case that they bring out different servers. And so yeah, the point is that there's all these new changes that have happened, and we feel like that it's imperative to bring back an original server that's untouched. And the reason why is because we've seen that, most likely they can bring it back with no issue. The thing is from time to time, we've seen on social media there being people on Reddit, people on Twitter, people in their communities, within the game. They, talk about what they want and stuff like that, but that doesn't mean that that's the majority. There is a silent majority of people that just, over time, they've quit just because, you know, um, just because they thought the game was boring or they didn't like the direction of the game, but just because we haven't seen the amount of people that, haven't said, oh, we don't like this or that, it doesn't mean that they're not out there. They're definitely out there. It's just that really the majority of people on these social medias, when they want change to happen in the game, usually, of course, they go to social media, they then say what they want. Now, we have seen a couple people that have supported this idea, but we think that their approach might then have triggered other people of saying no for specific reasons. Well, we've seen, of course, people make their claims of bringing back the server, but the problem is then the people that then say no is they then say, oh, well, it would divide the community, or it wouldn't be good, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. And then also, no, we like the game how it is. Well, in this case that we're proposing, we're just proposing that they make a new server. They make a new server where people can enjoy themselves and they don't have to deal with the stuff that they don't like in the current OSRS servers. So I'll bring it back to you.
Yeah, I mean the thing is well, it doesn't hurt. I mean, yes, it might take away some players in the current old school community, but it just kind of like it's nice to have that option. And the thing is it's the majority of people that vote for all these updates, and and the thing is the minority, I guess you can say, is would be us, even though I guess we're more silent about it, or we don't go about it the right way, because every little fucking slip up you have, that majority is gonna capitalize on that slip up. Um, it just like, I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough talking in a minority standpoint.
And also, if it's not a Slayer update or if it's not a boss update, then it's not a good update.
Yeah, or if it's not like a quality of life update that would make the game easier, then it's not relevant. You know what I mean? It's like you have all these items like Rogue's outfit that all of a sudden has a use now, because they're like, oh man, this doesn't have a use. Let's give it a use. People used to get the Rogue's outfit just because of the novelty. People didn't care about if it had a use or not. People played fishing trawler just to get fish. They didn't care about no fishing outfit. People just did these things just to do them. If with all these different like updates, like, oh yeah, we're gonna make Void easier now. We're gonna make it like 5 points instead of 4, with the trade off of, oh, you got to be a little bit more active. That, I mean, people should be active anyway. I mean, and they would still get the 4 points. I mean, it's just like, or releasing things like the Grand Exchange and Zora to just make it so much easier. I mean, yes, as a company, as a game company, inevitably you got to release new methods and new things out there, to make the game easier, more user friendly, I guess, and when it happens with every game. Every game is hard at first, but over time it just progressively gets easier because new updates are brought about. But it's just the pacing of these updates that really have taken away that nostalgic feeling that you would get from playing this game. It just does. Um, it no longer feels like 2007. I'm sure that wasn't the intention. It wasn't going to last that long, just being 2007. But what I can see from the game in the future is it just going to continue the year is going to keep going up and keep going up. It's looking like this game is in 2009. It just has slightly altered graphics to be 2007 graphics, but it's pretty much 2009. So it's eventually going to keep going up there in the year mark, and we're probably going to be seeing like 2012 skate by 2021. If it lasts that long. So it's just kind of in the point where it's just kind of like all these updates, all these changes. Yes, I mean, we're not afraid of change, but the thing is we can always have multiple game modes, like we said. I mean, there's a server for RuneScape Classic. You know, there's this old school server, and then there's the RuneScape 3 server, right? So why not just add a server in between RuneScape Classic and old school RuneScape? That can just be the one vanilla file the one file that started it all back in August 10, 2007. Just put it out there. There's been lots of support. It just in different forums, different Reddit posts. It just the fact that the majority overpowers the support. So it really doesn't even out, and it's really not fair. It's not fair to us, and I just really don't get like why it's being denied. I mean, it's I'm sure it wouldn't take the whoever's behind the team that brings it out. I'm sure it wouldn't really take them long to release a server. It just don't understand at this point why it's not being offered. But yeah, on that note, I'm gonna send it off to you.
Yeah, so I mean the thing is in playing this game and the server, you know, people like challenges, and you could kind of say in a sense that the beginning of the game, yeah, you could trade and stuff like that, but there was no GE where you could buy thousands of, per item. And it wasn't easy, you know, to get items. Either you got them yourself, and that's what a lot of people did, or yeah, then you then have to then barter with another person, and with you know, it's having that barter system. It then makes it makes a role playing aspect to the game. This is an MMORPG, multi massive online role playing game. So when you see role playing in the way that we've seen it evolve, you've kind of seen this kind of like exclusivity type of aspect where it's like everyone is doing their own thing, and all these updates kind of they now nurture to less role playing in the sense of where um, things are just easier, and it takes less time. And with that being said, though, is that caters to the new type of generation that's been playing this game. Now, there's some people that would agree and some not, but the thing is if you keep making these new updates, kind of like what you were saying with, you know, those like those unnecessary quality of life updates. It's like, oh, the rogue's outfit, and then getting an outfit from the trawler. Say for example, like having all of those perks for skill capes. Having like new options for then when like you want to fletch, or say now there's like a new option for going to the bank. They just slightly altered that. It seems like they're slightly altering all of these things just to make the game easier. And yeah, for those people that do like the current game, I mean, that's great. I mean, there are aspects that I like about the game, but some that I don't. And I'm just seeing just this, type of game mode that it's like it's serving to people that are dopamine addicted. And so what I'm trying to say is for the regular things that people like and cherish, it's like that's kind of then being devalued through all these kind of new changes. Um, and then to then get some of those like specific items, then there isn't like a lore to then kind of there's no lore to get them. Um, and yeah, with having there being Zora, like I kind of see it as like the equivalence of how there was divination. I think in 2012, I believe, or 2011, where basically you'd have people at the GE, and all they would do is they would use a divination thing, and you'd see 10 people you know mine like a rune rock that just spawned out of nowhere. And then there would be then a hunter thing where you'd get hunter type of things. And then maybe there was then like a magic tree that someone spawned. But the point is that crashed the economy, and it basically kind of destroyed the thought of then actually then skilling. So with the Zora update, and then of course there just being the GE, just this over there's just an upwards trend of just oversaturized things in the game just to make it easier, like say the buffing of the drop tables. It's like basically like you don't have to collect those items. Say like if you go to Kurasks, like you have it all right there, and it's in notes. Um, I mean, since when do monsters drop things of notes? Well, I mean there are some, but it just for having many things in notes being dropped, it's like that doesn't really seem like a medieval multi-massive online role-playing game. It just doesn't. It just seems like it's just fucking easy. Like I don't know. I'm kind of making a joke out of it, but it's like fucking Club Penguin. Like it's just like it's just like kind of stupid. It's now it just like, oh, let's just see, like it's this upward it's an upwards trend that they can't really Like they've created a beast and they can't tame it. So, and kind of like you said, is that yeah, it is a business. So they had to do this in order to attract more people. But the thing is though, is that by, having this business model, you are taking out specific elements that a huge amount of people that then play this game, that then it's like, they're thinking to themselves, what the hell happened to the game? I don't like that update. And so, with there being that, and then there being a polling system, I mean, of course people want, the easiest way out, for, making something in the game easier. That's the majority of people. But the point of this though is like, okay, it would be its own challenge. And really, if you think about it, back then, a normal account, if you compare it to an Iron Man account from now, say if you were to make both, different account builds, um, the Iron Man now and then the normal account from when the release of the game was, basically the Iron Man account would most likely max out first, just because of all the new updates to the game and how easy it is. So, I just think that, you know, if people like where the game is like right now, that's perfectly fine. But we've seen that Jagex does have the capability of doing what we want. And what we want and what a lot of people want is they do want just another server. And you know what? People in that server, they can, do what they want and they can enjoy the game how they enjoy it. And everybody can be peaceful. And um, anyway, I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, like I said, it just really wouldn't hurt. Um, but yeah, I mean, just all these different things that are just like irrelevant in the game now, such as trading another person. I mean, trading another person now is just like,
That's part
oh,
of the game.
yeah, it's like, oh, is this guy a scammer or like bank sale? Why don't you just sell it in the GE? It just things like that just really take away from what this game's supposed to be, an old school RuneScape server. I mean, I guess it can't be 2007 forever, obviously, but I mean, you that's a pretty big part that you're taking away. I mean, you can argue, oh, but you can still trade, but you don't see that. You just don't see that. I mean, maybe if you trade, it's like, oh, like maybe a friend's giving you items after you boss, like it's a split, it's splitting time, things like that, or oh, you know, I don't know, it's just very rare. It's normally just like giving you a split. Maybe you're trading and bossing to give each other some food, or just things like that. It's like not really a thing anymore because people would have their own shops. I mean, I used to add all these people on Zyva. It's like, this guy used to sell this. I would have that guy as my go-to guy. It's almost as if like everyone had their own little stores, and it was like, oh man, this is this guy, and this is this guy, and I'll be friends with this guy, and we give each other discounts, and I don't know, and it just and with units, you would be excited or disappointed, either excited or disappointed, because it's like, oh man, like you just never knew because it was an unidentified herb. That was the old
That
school
was
way.
fun.
That was the old school way of herb lore. Now it's just like, oh, I know what this is. This is a radar. It's a grimy radar. It's like you just didn't know, and it added to the mystery aspect of herb lore. And with the whole Grand Exchange thing, look, I'm not bashing on the Grand Exchange. I think it was a good idea. I think it was a good update, just because the amount of people that would come back, it really did bring about a lot of people. But what it also did was it also made a lot of people either make Iron Man or quit. Um, and the thing is, it just made the game just so much easier. And the thing is, this game is supposed to differentiate itself from RuneScape 3. It's not supposed to be easy. This game back then wasn't easy. I mean, you can argue it is easy, but I mean, it takes a lot more time. I mean, questing shouldn't be, oh yeah, you can just buy all these items from a marketplace in seconds. Questing was supposed to be like, oh yeah, I have to go to this area to pick this fruit off of this tree, and then I have to get this leaf from. I have to go to the guy in Falador to Wyden to get my woad leaves, right? And then I have to go over here. You know, it was part of the adventure. The adventure is gone. There really is
It's
no
gone.
adventure. Yeah. So it just things like that. They're good, but they're also bad. With every good update that there is, there's always a bad to it, and that bad is just constantly being like pushed down and pushed down and pushed down, and it's 4 years later now, and it just like if someone were to come back and they played back then and they're gonna play now, it's just kind of like, yeah, they would get some things, but like I mean, I saw it the other day in Iron Man CC. Some guy just popped up and everyone was just like telling him like all the methods he was doing. People were just like roasting him, like making him like feel bad for the stuff he did for years and the stuff he knew for years and years and years. And it just like, you know, it just like it's almost like unrecognizable to him. Yet we're playing on an old school RuneScape server with all these new things that some of them weren't even in RS3 to begin with. They're just like player content that some dude like sitting in his mom's attic like came up with. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's like it's to the point where it's getting progressively worse for those who like the nostalgia part of the game and the role playing part of the game and a lot of aspects of the game. It just gone, and I feel like it would be good. It would actually be in Jagex's best interest to create the separate server, because it actually would make him money. I mean that's what they're about, right? Making money. It would actually make him money because one, publicity. Okay, people would stream that shit. There's going to be a new high scores, right? People are going to compete there.
Good point.
Right. There's going to be, like I said, people that are going to be paying for membership now because it's like, this is worth paying for. This is what I remember. This is my childhood. This is something, or it doesn't even have to be someone's childhood. It could be someone just starting RuneScape, and they're like, oh, you know what? I like this game. You know, they're trying out all the game modes. It's like, I like this game for the simplicity. You know, you didn't even have to play back then, but just to simply like it. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I feel like it would be in their best interest. I'm sure it doesn't cost them too much money to release it, and I'm sure it doesn't cost too much time to release it. They could do what they did to RS Classic, just put it out there, you know, to let people play. You know, if people want to fucking bot, let them fucking bot. I mean, yeah, that takes away the fun of the game, but I mean, this is just gonna be some vanilla server that they don't really have to pay any attention to. So, you know, if they're gonna do whatever the fuck they're gonna do, but just make it like a RuneScape Classic. It's just catering to those who don't like the updates that's happening and want to play the game for really the nostalgia and the challenge. So yeah, I'll pass it off to you now.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the fact that it's a challenge. You know, for example, there's a friend who, you know, he died on he died on the hardcore, and he even said himself for the next game mode that's gonna, you know, happen, that he's probably gonna be, you know, getting on that. And with his Iron Man that he has right now, he even said himself he doesn't plan to max on that account. So people love challenges, and I'm pretty sure there were so many people who made hardcore accounts, and for those people, you know, they made it because it was a challenge, and you know, yeah, people love, you know, high scores. And you know, another type of challenge that I think people liked was a lot of the Ultimate Ironman when they saw Autumn Elegy. That really popularized Ultimate Ironman for the free to play build, and it did because it's very simplistic. In free to play, there's really like no changes to where it's like the game is dramatically changed. It's really on members, um, and where basically with his content, it's of course it's repetitive, but it's not anything that's touched. It's very original, and I think that people would follow the trend if they then did play on this new server. And really with cons, I mean, it it would bring about, I think, maybe, who knows, maybe a new player base. I know I talked about the reward points and the dopamine that when people keep getting things that they want over and over and over. I mean, yeah, that is nice. And the thing is though is that it's a little saturated, and yeah, you put less value then items. And so then what do you then have to do? You then have to make better items in the game, better items, better items. And it's kind of like game psychology. And I think really the fact if like you remember where Falador, when OSRS first came out, people went to Falador, but then there was this slow trend. It was a slow trend where then people just went to Varrock, and then finally then Falador was then dead. But people who went to Falador, they remembered to go there, that was the world too. Those were the OGs. But of course, if you then have these new people that, maybe are still married to the idea of the GE, of course they then went to Varrock, and then that was then the new, trading hub. Well, when you then make the new trading hub in Varrock, it's like, oh, what should we then do? Well, what, they made a shitty update with the trading post, and then they then were on the momentum of making something similar, so then they're like, okay, why the heck? Let's just make a GE. And I don't know if that was calculated, but here's the deal: is that there's really no consequence or like nothing bad that would happen if you make this new server once again. Um, I don't see there being anything bad. I see there only, being, good stuff. It would be great for competition. Um, I mean, I'm pretty sure I mentioned, it's much tougher to max from then comparison to now. So, um, I think really that's all of my points.
Yeah, I've pretty much covered most things as well. Um, but yeah, feel free to discuss this in the comment section. But yeah, I think we covered everything.
Yeah, and I mean, if we do make another video, which I'm most likely sure we will, because we'll try to get in contact with whomever to try to make this a popular subject. And I think the difference between our talking points with other people's that have talked about this is that then it's like they've said that they want OSRS to be the original way that it was, and of course then there's people that are they're kind of married to the new RS and they want it to stay the same. Well, I mean, the argument is we're just making, or we would like a new server so that the server that you prefer is the one that you prefer, and there's no harm for really both sides. It's a win-win for both, and really just for Jagex as a company. So yeah, we'll definitely make another video to post about any new updates if we maybe hear something from someone, maybe try to get a YouTuber to maybe talk about the subject. Uh, Probably try to tweet as many mods as possible. And we're going to make a Reddit post as well. So if you guys can check that out and just share this with as many people as possible. And we'll see you guys in the next one.